Hi, it's Toshiba with the Brannon 7 Homeschool Edition. I think this might be my third or fourth video. I'm not sure which order I'm going to post them as my 6-year-old daughter talks to me. I haven't quite figured out how to not cast a shadow. There are like 3 lights in here. I'm not good at this yet. Please work with me. This is a video kind of following the last video. I introduced my 4th graders curriculum, which was Abeka Academy, with the DVDs. And I wanted to show you now what I've switched over to from Abeka. Like I said, this is our, if you're new to the channel, which we are kind of all new, the Brannon family to the channel. I have 5 children. I have a 9-year-old that's in 4th grade. I have 2 6-year-olds who are in 1st grade and 2 7.5-year-olds that are in 2nd grade. And we're using Abeka Academy for all of them yet. I need to make some more videos of all the things that you get with the 2nd and 1st grade curricula from Abeka, but for right now we're focusing on 4th grade. So about halfway through the year, okay, not halfway, but we started school October 1st, and so around December, okay, let's say around September, we knew that something wasn't quite right. He was getting discouraged. He was asking about going back to school, and I'm just going to be honest, it was kind of heartbreaking because initially we didn't even want to take him out. We just wanted to homeschool the 2 sets of twins because they were kind of falling, not behind, but they were just in a school where they weren't progressing. They were kind of, we were teaching them things at home and they really weren't learning that much new stuff at school. So they made really good grades, but it really wasn't beneficial. We paid a lot of money for them to attend this particular Christian school. Like I said, it's a really great school. It's just that I don't believe in luck. I really don't, but lack for a better term, for the luck of the draw, we got 2 teachers that for 1st and 2nd, for kinder and 1st grade, K4 and 1st grade, that did not work out for us. Other than that, those other years that we were there, we had fine teachers, but it's a couple of years, and these happen to be the same year. So to have 4 children go to a school and not really progress other than what we were teaching them at home was a little bit, I don't know, disheartening. Even though we still love the people there and we love the school, you know, we still pray for them every single day, but those 2 things kind of broke us in that department. So anyway, back to my 4th grader, we loved, hey Miss Mungie, I hope you watch. We loved his 3rd grade teacher. She was a blessing to us, and she helped us work with Dave in any way that we could. It's just that for him, we didn't even want him to come out of school. We kind of wanted him to stay, but he wanted to come home to be homeschooled with his brothers and sister, and so there you have it. That's kind of the long and short of how we left Christian school. And so we ordered Abeka Academy because we were familiar with it from his previous preschool and from using it at the school that he went to last. And so I've watched, I'm a little embarrassed, but I probably watched, I would say hundreds, probably not thousands, but from May to August, I watched homeschool videos nonstop for like not a lot, but maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. And even at night, I couldn't sleep. I was like chomping at the bit, but I didn't know what I was doing. When you first decide, usually you decide the year before, you don't decide a few months before. And so I researched tons of curricula, but they were all based on YouTube because I took a shortcut. I didn't like start with Charlotte Mason. I'm sorry, whoever you are. I don't know who you are. I didn't start there. I didn't start the typical way. And if you get to know me and my channel, you'll know that I am a little bit of an anomaly. I don't do things the way that most people do. It's not because I don't want to, it's just I didn't know any better. So I just started out with curricula because I've worked in education for a long time, so I was familiar with a few out there, and I had a couple of homeschool friends who encouraged me from my prayer group, and so I just kind of got a hold of something that I knew, and I kind of went on a rampage. And so I started with homeschooling for new homeschoolers, and I came upon the 2 Ericas, is what I like to call them, Erica Arndt, and then there's Erica from My Busy Bees and Me, used to be the Grateful 8, and so I watched almost every video on their channels. I also watched A Farmhouse Full, and I watched, I don't know, there's so many. I'll probably tag all y'all in here to see what they were using, and then I kind of just researched based on some of their suggestions or some of the things that they were using. I wish that I would have started with maybe Kathy Duffy. I know that now, but I didn't start with that book of like the 102 things that you should learn. So if you're new to homeschooling and you're like really stressed out, this may be a good place to start, because we're doing really well considering that I didn't start with what type. I didn't know if I want to do traditional homeschooling or boxed curriculum, or if I wanted to do classical learning or classical conversations or unschooling. Well, I knew I didn't want to do unschooling. Nothing against you guys. You guys are awesome, but this type A personality with the planner that's in me. Anyway, so I didn't do any of that. I did the research after the research, if that makes sense. The research that I probably should have done was what type of homeschooling I wanted to have, but I kind of knew that I wanted curricula that could possibly be used at Christian schools, because homeschooling for us was just a temporary thing. Our kids play a lot of sports, and so my husband has every intention on my boys going back to school, and probably public school, to play football and run track and play basketball and things of that nature. So this was kind of a temporary thing just to fix an issue that we had with our current Christian school. So yeah, I wished I would have started with those books that helped me chose curricula based on what style I wanted or what style my children wanted. But I do have an education certificate in special education. Not that that makes me any more qualified than anybody, because it's the only certification I have, and I only taught 1 year as a co-teacher in science. And I use the word taught loosely. I worked in a wonderful high school where I was a co-teacher for science and that's all I did for the 1 year. But I've been around education all my life. Most of the people in my family are educators. So anyway, I have a little bit of familiarity with education, just not necessarily educating my own children. So anyway, I've been talking for 6 minutes and you haven't seen what I switched to. So if you watched the last video, you saw that we used the Beck Academy for a fourth grader, and all of it did not work out. Some of it did. And so here's what we switched to. So I put all the stuff back, but if you want to look at this thing again, here's what the fourth grade curriculum looks like. Here is what we did not use. We did not use language A. We did not use penmanship, and we did not use spelling. So pretty much these three over here we took out, and also arithmetic. So what we replaced, the language A and the spelling and the penmanship, all three of these with essentials. And so we switched over to the logic of English, which we love. I explained earlier in my video that we thought my son was suffering with a little bit of dyslexia, and I say a little bit because I don't have a diagnosis. We just know that it's mild, because he's a really awesome reader and he's comprehending a whole lot more every day. But he was also struggling with spelling, and so he always made A's on a spelling test. There might have been one spelling test where Dave might have made a B or even maybe a C, maybe one in like 4 years. So I just knew that we worked really hard for those A's and B's that we had, though. And so I was always hoping that there was a better way. So homeschooling really turned out to work well for us in that respect, because I had to take it slower because I couldn't understand what happened between phonics, which with Becca, I explained in the other video, stops phonics at 2nd grade. And my 2nd graders have it, and it's really awesome in terms of a phonetic curriculum. But Dave, once they got to 3rd grade, even last year in school, they didn't do any phonics. They just went straight to the spelling words. So he's very rhythmic, and he's very left-brained and right-brained. He's kind of half and half, but he's very rhythmic. So I would sing, or we would do our spelling words. So if he had to spell, for instance, I'm already snapping. For instance, if we had to spell reading, because I'm looking at this and it says reading, we would just spell it like R-E-A-D. I-N-G. Like, I would snap in between every beat because he was really rhythmic. Now the words were a little bit longer, so if they were 2-syllable, we would break them up by the syllable, 3-syllable, and then we would spell them that way to break it down for him. It was the only way he could really memorize any words that had above 2 syllables, was by kind of snapping in the beat, making a little bit of a rap to it. We did the same thing with his scriptures. And so logic of English, I really love it. I watched almost all the videos. I think her name is Denise Ide. That's what it's written. I don't know how to pronounce it. And so if you've never used it, I watched, I will tag her because I don't really know her name. But to be honest, I looked up quite a few Orton Gillingham theorists or curricula that use that same background to work on the logic of English, which is what this one's called, but basically where you teach your children the whys of grammar in English, and so of why we spell words the way that we do. So if you haven't been introduced to it, they have other ones, like this one is called Essentials, and so this one is geared more toward, I guess, 3rd to 5th grade, and the other ones are for maybe kinder through 2nd grade, if that I think that's the right number. So right now, we're only on lesson 6 because I got this, I guess, a month and a half ago. And so what I like about it is every day, it's also broken up into weeks. So I think that this is a 15 lesson book, and this is part A, and there's a part B that's supposed to come out. This is the second edition of this. And so anyway, I am such a nerd in that I like rules and I like to know why. When I was going through this, I was thinking, like, I don't remember knowing the whys of spelling. For instance, I watched a video that talked about the reason that people was spelled with an O. I don't know if you could prepare yourself, is because people is related to the word population and populace. And so they had that as an English marker so that we would know that the word people was connected to the word populace and population. Okay, for me, that just breathes nerdery. And I appreciate that. But my 4th grader did not care. Hey, I didn't buy that curriculum, but that's what this one does more on his level. It explains the why. So this is what it comes with. It comes with the Essentials book. It also, and this is the teacher book, and then it also comes with multi-level spelling, grammar, and vocabulary, so it's all in one. It also comes, now this, we bought another curriculum all about reading, and that did not work out for us. Well, I bought the wrong level, so it was a fine program, but it wasn't for my 4th grader. And so we used their letter tiles, but this one does come with their own. They're just not magnetic, and so we kind of use this with ours. It also comes with a spelling journal. Well, I bought the whole package, so if you buy the whole package, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff in it. It has morphine cards, which you haven't gotten to. I think these are mostly for 5th grade, and it has advanced phonograms. These are also probably for the 5th grade level because we haven't opened them. It comes with just your regular phonograms, and the pink cards are grammar cards, and they're all color-coded, so you can see all the pinks are for grammar, and all of the green cards are spelling rules. And so we've gotten through a few of the spelling ones, a lot of the spelling ones, and a few of the grammar ones so far, and these are the basic phonogram cards. So if you have multiple children, I would say you could use this early as 2nd grade. I know that it says 3rd grade, but my kids can do all of the words that are in the level 1 area. So just to give you a little bit of how it works, I'll turn to a day that we've already done. There are also 10 pre-lessons that I would highly suggest that you do, because I wanted to start on lesson 1, but since we weren't familiar with the curriculum before, we really needed to start from the beginning, so we did. So I'll give you an idea of what we do. Lesson 1 is always introducing the new spelling rule. And so whatever that spelling rule is, for instance, A, E, O, U usually say their long sound at the end of a syllable. So that's the one my son memorizes because, again, you can hear it, it's kind of rhythmic and it flows. So that's one of them. So if that's the introduction for that day, then we'll read it a couple of times. He likes to read the cards himself, so I'll let him read the cards, and then we'll go on to the lesson, and it'll explain. It tells you exactly what to say. Now, because I'm new, you can tell that I talk a lot and I like to fly off the handle, so I actually read this thing verbatim. I try not to add my own twist. Like, I worked in sales for years, and I try not to add anything to this to make this lesson any longer than it already has to be, because typically it should take about 30 minutes, maybe 40 to do. It takes us about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because I want to make sure that he understands. I make sure that he reads things. There's a lot of games involved. He loves the basketball game where he has to write the word correctly, the spelling word correctly on a piece of paper, and if he gets it right, then he gets to ball it up and shoot it into a hoop or to a wastebasket or whatever. So the second day is when the spelling words are introduced, and then it goes back over that same rule. So this is not that rule, but this is the E, A, or whatever the sounds are, and that's reviewing what we did yesterday. And then day 2 is always, so you'll see here, this is level A. So level A, I'm guessing, is geared toward a 3rd grader because the words are very easy. Even my 2nd graders, maybe my 1st graders could spell a couple of these. Like the first, this is lesson 3, and this is like the number 6, clock, duck. And it's also gonna go over the rules from this week. These words will have the rules from this week, and it will review the words, a couple of new words with last week's rule, if that makes sense. So if we went over 2-letter K, which is CK, in week 1, then duck is obviously in week 3, even though we didn't learn that new rule for that. And so you'll hear me, I listen to a lot of videos, so I try to say it just like she does so that my son is not confused. I also purchased the app where you could hear the phonogram sounds because I like the way that she enunciates. As you can see, like, I'm not a linguist at all. And so sometimes when I'm reading them and I think that I'm saying them correctly, I like her. I think that was worth the $3.99 or whatever it was for the app so that they could hear her, or he can hear her saying it. And so we do list B. Now, some of the words are easy for him, but some of them, I want him to know the reason why. Why are they spelled the way they are? So this was week 3, or lesson 3. And here are some of the words. And you can see them, that it was morning, feast, and he needed to know the EA, because sometimes when he's spelling things, if he just hears an E, then he'll write an E, even if it's I. So he knows all the sounds of all the phonograms. And then what I love is that I feel like between 4th grade and 5th grade, it goes from like 4th grade to 6th grade, because these words are a lot larger, if you can see, than the other words, and not necessarily in length, but these are going through the advanced morpheme. So right now he's learning phonogram sounds, and he's also learning the rules of why they sound the way they do. And he goes over compound words and that type of thing. But in here, for instance, if you see 5th grade, it'll be persistent. And so they'll do a say to spell, so you'll say it exactly how it's spelled, but you'll say it phonetically using the sounds to make sure. But then it'll also tell you later on in a lesson, because I read ahead, and sometimes it'll say what the root word means versus what the suffix means. And so these morphemes are combined to make one word. And so these words in our English language are put together by not just by sound, but by also Latin and Greek and where the origins of these words come from. And so then that helps them to be able to spell other things. For instance, this word is expert, and it says EX means out, and pert means trial or test. So if he gets the understanding that X means out, then he'll know what exit means, or he'll know what any word with the EX prefix means, and then pert, trial or test. And so I really like that it breaks it down this way. Again, this speaks to my nerdery. And then on the 3rd day, it goes over grammar. So on the next day, you'll see here where there'll be an exercise in here that will go over where he's putting adjective, article, noun, and he's writing them, or article, adjective, and then noun of, that's the grammar day. The 3rd day is usually the grammar day. And then the 4th day, you can see it'll say words in action, and then there'll be a review of everything that we're going to go over, because obviously the test is tomorrow. And the tests aren't done with like just each word. So the tests are done in dictation form, or dictation style, I should say. And so on his test, if you can see here where it says dictation, this is not the actual test, but you'll see that everything is done in a phrase so that it's understood in the logic of English. So it's really logical. This is not supposed to be a review, but you can tell I really enjoy this. He's even understanding a lot better. It's easier for me to teach and help him than it was with the Becca. Because another drawback, I know this is not about a Becca, but another drawback of using a Becca is that once you order the video curriculum, you don't get the teacher's guide. And so if he had trouble understanding something, I really don't have time, nor do I want to email the actual teacher to ask her something. Even I have no idea when she recorded these videos, and they do make themselves available to you, but I'm very uncomfortable calling or emailing the teacher about that, when I would have liked a copy to help me help him, if that makes sense. And so he had a couple of things in English where I was like, I mean, I have the key, but that doesn't help me explain it to him further if he needed more explanation, which I think a teacher's guide does that. And I think Becca is, I mean, it's already a pretty pricey curriculum, and I'm thinking they just didn't want to add another cost on top of that, but it would have been really helpful to get a teacher's guide. So know that if you order a Becca, you will not get a teacher's guide with your set. So anyway, like I said, I love Logic of English, and I haven't gone over it a lot, but his workbook coincides, so it's really good. I'm gonna link the homeschool mom who I saw the review for and what kind of sold me on it, because I was looking at 2 or 3 curricula to decide between for him, and I knew that I wanted it to be Orton Gillingham based. I just didn't know which one. And so there was one lady, I'm just telling y'all, and I went on her website and I told her, it was 2 ladies actually that have really They did really great reviews. Again, this is like my 3rd or 4th video. I'm not good at this, but if you look at their reviews, it will change your life. Okay, yeah, it will change your life because they know how to hold the camera. They went through the book. They showed me, like right now I'm losing the books, but every workbook page corresponds with the page in here. So you never get off unless, like last week, there's a little page that also tells you what to do next for the reading. And we did purchase, a lot of people don't, but I did purchase the Essentials Reader, because I did want it to be an all-inclusive one, just because I wasn't using Abeka anymore for penmanship, because we didn't enjoy it for spelling or for grammar. So this one encompasses all, and it also has a section in here even for penmanship. I don't love the style, and maybe it's Denilian. I'm using my, I have no idea, but this is what their copy work kind of looks like, and it also, I'm not sure it's copy work, but anyway, it's what they use for their handwriting. It confuses Dave because we've been using Abeka for so long on how to write. So anyway, the reading curricula is really cute. I'll just give you an idea. It's really short. It's really sweet. It's only done on like the 3rd or the 4th day of the week. I'll give you the one that we did last week because I have no idea what this one's going to say. So last week we read an excerpt called the bed racing. And so in here, he'll go over some words that are going to be in the passage that he reads. And the reader, the story is usually like 2 or 3 pages long. It's really short, actually. He gets to mark the vowels, just like in phonics, and he gets to mark the, whatever letters he marks. And then afterwards, it asks, what is unique about how beds are being used? And then he gets to answer the question. I don't make him write it down. Then it asks, what would you want to race in? No, what do you want to race in a bed race? Why or why not? And then they do, and that says, the first one says explain, the second one says evaluate. This one says infer. What kind of team members would you want on your team and why? And the last one is how would the beds have to be made if you wanted them to float on water? And so it gives them kind of a comprehension, which is, I guess, what reading is supposed to do. But bed racing was something he'd never heard of. He learned something new. They also have handwriting and composition and how to use that. And for this one, we actually had to do a keyword outline. And I don't know if you're familiar with IEW or Institute for Excellence in Writing. We also changed to that curricula. But we had to do a keyword outline. So because he was familiar with that from IEW, he had a really good time doing it. I mean, he's a boy and he's not one who loves writing. He'll love to read, but if I say let's write a book report, he'll be like, do I have to, or how long does it have to be? Because he dreads it because of the spelling and because of the grammar. Spelling and grammar are his huge 2 things. And so anyway, and they also give you extension and cross-curricular activities. They always give you a lot of extra things that you could do with games and things of that nature. So I really enjoy it. Now, for a 4th grader, I would not say that this is something. Thank you. I'm getting popcorn from my 6-year-old. Thanks. I'm not even sure that I want to consume this, but he's sharing. So I do like the reading. He does this once a week, but this is not all that we do. We still use the Abeka curriculum, which is a lot more challenging, I should say. I didn't mention this, but this also comes with 2 sets of game cards. If you order the box set, you can see one of the games is Rotten Egg, and okay, that's all they have. But then there's like a kind of an Uno type of game. We don't play these as much because he finds them a little bit boring. The little ones like it a little bit better, but I'm not trying to go there yet. With them, we're going to introduce them to it next year. So anyway.